for Zen master. It's a respectful term for Zen master. And Seung Sahn is our teacher, and has we have other Zen centers all over the country and in Europe and in Korea and Japan that Seung Sahn is in charge of. So it's nice when he pays us a visit. To his left is Mark Houghton, who's the abbot of this Zen center, and to my right is Diane Houghton, who's the head Dharma teacher here. So I'm going to be giving the little introductory talk tonight, and then Seung Sahn will answer questions about Zen or about your life or anything that you're wondering about. And I think I've been thinking about this, like, what is the reason that we have these introductory talks? Why, when Seung Sahn is here, people think, well, why do I have to listen to, some Zen student talk for half an hour when I could just listen to Seung Sahn for, an hour and a half or something? And for a long time, like, I've been practicing with Seung Sahn for a long time, like 7 years, and for a really long time, there weren't very many American students around to talk about our practice. And so a lot of times I just listened to Seung Sahn. And I kept finding myself listening to him, and I could understand what he was saying in terms of I got used to his English and I got used to all of that stuff. So I knew conceptually what he was saying. But I sort of didn't believe him. I just thought every time he would say something like, if you have no thinking, then there'll be no problem. Or, if he would say, if you think you can't, then you can't. But if you think you can, then you can. And just a lot of things like that. And I would sort of think, well, that's fine for a Zen master to say, I just couldn't apply it to myself. And it's taken a really long time to just really slowly start to realize that what Seung Sahn says, he really means it. And he's trying to say it in the most simple, direct way that he can. He's not playing games with us. And you just have to, try and listen and understand what he's saying. But for a long time, it just really seems like he couldn't possibly mean what he's saying. And he's saying one thing, but he means another thing. So I think that's one reason why we have these introductory talks, because when you hear, sometimes when you hear someone who's more your own age or more your own life situation, and comes out of your own culture or something, and somebody who's just sort of basically another Zen student, then you can relate, a little better to what it's like to be trying to practice. Zen really is just a practice. Like, it cannot be understood intellectually. This is sort of a cliche, but there are stories. There's a story about a Korean Zen master who was the teacher of Seung Sahn's teacher, who became a really great sutra master. In other words, he understood everything about Buddhist doctrine. He understood everything you could, possibly that has ever been said or written about Buddhism or about enlightenment or about clear mind or whatever you want to call it. And he really had it down. But one day, he was walking somewhere, and he went through this village where, and he was getting thirsty, and so he knocked on the door, and there was no answer, and he went in, and there were bodies just lying everywhere, dead bodies, and he just really freaked out, and so he ran next door and knocked on the next door, and he went in, and there are all these dead bodies in there, all just in different stages of decomposition, and he just went through this whole village, and everyone had died, and then he saw this sign that said, warning, cholera. And it just really hit him. At that point, it really hit him, because all of a sudden he realized that he could die, and that he could be one of these corpses. And all of a sudden he just really realized that he did not understand life and death, and that all of his understanding, his conceptual understanding, could not help him. And he really didn't want to die. And he realized that despite all his learning and study, he was still hanging on to this idea of I, my, me. And that I, my, me did not want to die. And he was scared, and so he just said the only thing that he could do was decide to practice and to really not just understand Buddhism but to attain it. So he went back to his monastery and sent home all of his students, shut himself in this room, and only kept one student around to bring him food and water. And he wouldn't talk to anyone, just sat in this room, and he just said, I'm going to sit here until I understand. And he'd heard about Zen. You know, he knew something about it, and in fact, he knew a lot about it. And he heard about this method of meditation where you use a question that can't be answered with your thinking mind. So the question that he picked to use was, before the donkey has left, the horse has already arrived. What does this mean? So he didn't know what it meant either, so so he sits in this room, and he just decides, I'm not going to lie down, I'm not going to do anything. Just going to eat enough food, keep myself going, and I'm just going to, keep this not knowing mind, like, I don't know, just don't know, just go with it. If you don't know, just go with it. So, and he had this awe, when he gets sleepy and starts to space out, he'd poke his leg. I mean, he really, this is serious, this is the most important thing to him. So, he sat there for a really long time, and I think about 3 years went by, and finally, one day his student that was taking care of him was out in the village getting food, and he ran into a man who'd been studying Zen, practicing Zen a long time. And the man said, what is your teacher doing these days? And the student said, well, he's just sitting in a room, and, I bring him food and water, and he's just sitting there, he's not doing anything. And then the man says, well, if he's not doing anything, then according to Buddhist doctrine, he'll be reborn as a cow. That's what's supposed to happen to lazy monks. So the student said, oh no, my teacher is really, he's really working hard. I'm sure he's going to go to heaven when he dies. And the guy said, that's really a bad answer. And the student said, well, what should I have said? And the man said, well, I would have said, sure, he'll be reborn as a cow, but a cow with no nostrils. So the student said, huh? Goes back and starts telling his teacher what happened. And as soon as he told Young Ho Sunim, who's the teacher, Young Ho Sunim got enlightenment. He stopped doing his retreat. He wrote some poems which I forgot. But the point is that understanding cannot help us, and thinking cannot help us. And the nature of Zen is that you have to practice it. And then you have to come up against something that you don't know. And for a lot of us, that question is, what am I? Like, in a very big way, to consider that question. Not like the labels of, I'm a student, or I'm a this, I'm a that, or I come from here, and this is what I want to do with my life, this is where I live, all these ways, these concepts that we use to define ourselves. That's just our small I. So what am I really? Or you can say, where do I come from? What was I before my parents were even born? And I don't mean what was your last incarnation or something, but really a big question. Where do you come from? This kind of practice helps us break through our thinking and our concepts and what a lot of Zen masters call opposites thinking, where we're making myself and somebody else, or me versus the world, or right versus wrong, or, we're dividing the world up. We're making opposites and getting attached to them. So, Zen helps us keep a really simple mind so that we can see what's right in front of us. And sometimes that means, what you see right in front of you is the floor is brown and the wall is white, and that's very simple. And sometimes what you see right in front of you is someone is hungry, so you give them food. And sometimes what you see right in front of you is someone needs conversation or someone needs to be a friend, so you give them friendship. Theoretically, when we practice Zen, there's nothing to say that we have to sit down and cross our legs, or come to a Zen center, or do anything in particular. Because Zen means, how do you keep your mind from moment to moment to moment? And that means when you're working, and when you're driving, and sleeping, and going to the bathroom, and whatever you do. Just keeping a clear mind moment to moment. What are you doing now? Just do it. Just do it. But a lot of us, and this applies to me, it's really hard sometimes. It's really hard to stop this babbly, conversation, this dialogue, this inner dialogue that's going on in your head. And so it's really helpful to be able to sit down and just reserve a certain amount of time. Sit down and just sit there and let your mind quiet down and let yourself keep this question. And at first it's just going to be like a really short time. And then it's going to start to grow by itself if you give it a chance. And then your mind becomes a little clearer, a little clearer, and a little clearer. And then as your dono mind grows, then you can start to keep it in your everyday life situations. And at first it's just like, maybe you can sort of keep dono mind, keep a clear mind when you're walking down the street, nothing's happening, nothing's bothering you, and nothing's on your mind, and everything's great, a little bit. And maybe a little bit when you're doing the dishes, a little bit when you're driving somewhere, or things are quiet. And then, but every time like something heavy happens, or someone starts talking to you, or you turn on the TV or something, you just lose it. Gradually, it just starts to grow until you realize that there's no exceptions to when it's appropriate to keep this don't know mind, which cuts through, I, my, me, this very heavy, self-centered mind. And when you can, gradually this practice will help you be free of your really limiting conceptions in any situation. And that's when it really, really starts to help. Something talks about our karma. Our karma is our sort of habitual thought processes, and it's like the same patterns that we get into over and over, the same painful situations, the same junk that we just keep playing into over and over. And a lot of times that's the reason we end up at a Zen center, because all of a sudden we see that we're just doing the same thing over and over, going around and around. And it's like our karma is this something real heavy and hard for most of us, because our thinking is just going on and on and on, and it's feeding right into it. And so at first you can't change your karma. It's really hard. It's really hard. You can't control your karma, like it's controlling you. And then the more you practice, it starts to get softer and softer. It starts to get lighter. It starts to get so you can shove it around. And then it starts to get like kind of almost liquidy or something, and you can just put it where you want it. And as it gets lighter and lighter, eventually it might even turn to steam and just not be in the way at all. And the more that happens, the more you can be clear about yourself and you can be clear with other people, so that you're not causing yourself suffering and you're also not causing other people suffering. Because you can just see what's appropriate and then just do it. No problem. So, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day about, he really has this problem where he really worries about what other people think about him. Like, he really wants people to like him. And when he's talking to somebody, he'll get so worried about what they're thinking about him, or how he can get them to like him, or something, that it becomes a really sort of difficult experience just to even relate to people. Like, it's easier to stay home. And I used to really feel that way a lot, too. I used to really, the heaviest thing in my life is like, what my friends, whether they like me or not, whether anyone likes me or not. And just really wanting people to like me. And I was talking to him about how recently I met this friend of mine who's like, she's a harpsichordist and she's like becoming famous and stuff, and she came up and stayed at my house. She was doing a concert, and she's Vietnamese. And we started to be really good friends, and I was saying that I thought that she feels lonely because everybody wants to know her because she's famous, right? And she feels like nobody just wants to know her because of who she is. And that I thought that the reason we started to really be friends was that I wasn't worried about whether she liked me. I just was just like having a good time talking to her. And he said, well, how did you change? How did this happen, How does this happen that you can change your karma? Like something that just bugs you for years and years and years, how does it happen that you can just, it's not a problem anymore, And I was saying that, like when you're sitting, what happens is you're sitting, okay, and you're trying to keep don't know mind. You're trying to concentrate on your mantra or something. And so for a little while you can concentrate. But then your mind starts thinking, you might start worrying about something, or trying to figure something out. And then you notice that you're doing that, and so you bring your mind back to this very simple mind. And then pretty soon you start thinking again. And then you just bring your mind back, and it gets to be a habit. Every time you start drifting off, you just bring it back. What's happening right now? Right here, right now. And then it starts to get to be a habit in your day-to-day life. And then pretty soon you'll be having a conversation with somebody, and then you finally start worrying about something they just said or you just said, and then you just bring your mind back. Just drop it. Forget it. And that gets to be a habit, And then pretty soon you're in this situation where this is it, you really mean it. You really want this person to like you or something, And this is serious, Forget practice. But it's gotten to be this habit. So your mind has become strong. And then you start, this worry mind comes up, and just drop it. And sometimes it's hard, One thing about our practice is you just have to keep trying. And sometimes it'll be pretty easy for a day or two, or a week or two, or a month or two. And then sometimes you're just going to be so distracted, and you're just going to be so upset, and you're going to walk around feeling rotten, maybe for a week. But Seung Sahn teaches us, don't check your mind. Don't keep stopping to evaluate how you're doing. Because the real point is, what am I? Like, who is feeling this stuff? Not like, if I was practicing, I shouldn't be feeling this. That's just thinking. So our practice is just go straight with what am I? Don't know. I was thinking the other day about how a lot of, almost everybody is a junkie in some way. Like, everybody has this one real strong thing, at least one real strong thing that they're attached to. And for some people, it's like success, and they'll just do anything. you know. Just do anything to be successful. They just have to be successful. And some people it's like money, or some people it's love, you know. Some people I don't even know. Like everyone's got something. Everybody knows what that one thing is. It just, you know, some people don't like to be laughed at, or everyone's got something that they're scared of or they can't face, you know. And you know, like for me, that one thing is I hate to be rejected, you know. Like that gets real heavy for me. I hate to be rejected, and I just like hate feeling like nobody cares about me or something, you know. I hate feeling alone, and I'm so scared of that, you know. And I just can really see sometimes that this one conception, like recently I was in this situation where somebody was saying to me, you have to make a commitment to me, okay, a real commitment, or I'm not going to be around. You know, like I'm going to go out with other people or something. And I didn't feel like I could make this strong commitment, you know. On the other hand, I didn't want to be alone, you know. And my mind started getting, like, you know how junkie will, like, steal and cheat and kill and do anything, just anything to support their habit, you know. And my mind started getting really sleazy, you know. Well, maybe if I say this, or maybe if I do this, or, you know, just like trying to find, like, any way around this situation, like, anything but to accept being alone, you know. And finally I stopped and said, what am I doing, you know? My mind is like pulling all these fast ones just to support this habit, you know, this cuckoo, you know, attachment. And it may sound like really obvious to everybody else, but to me it was like a real breakthrough to just say, okay, I can be alone, okay, you know. Then no problem, really no problem. And one part of our practice is, there are a lot of different parts of our practice. Some of it is sitting, formal sitting. Some of it is chanting, which is a really powerful means of concentration. Some of it is, you know, working or keeping our lives together, you know. And one thing that we do is, one thing that we're going to be doing this weekend is having a 3-day retreat. And we just sit for like 12 hours a day and just, you know, really try and just make use of the fact that there are very few distractions and just go straight, trying to practice. And one of the things we do is have these interviews with Seung Sahn, and you go up and you bow and you sit down, and he'll ask you some question. And the question is designed to make you say, I don't know. And in our school there are 1,700 different questions. And you might sail by a few of them. You might actually be able to give the Zen master a clear answer. Because all the answers are just reflection of what's right in front of you, what's obvious. But he's going to find one question that you're going to get stuck on it. Like, you're going to try all kinds of different answers on it, and none of them they're not it, you know. And every time you get stuck, it's because you're holding on to some concept. Just like I was holding on to this concept of, I can't be alone, anything but, you know. And it's the same thing in an interview. You get stuck because you're holding on to something. And you just think of everything but that one obvious thing. And that's what these questions are designed for. So, in all the time that I've been practicing, it's only like really recently I started to even appreciate interviews at all. I really thought they were really strange things, and I couldn't understand the reason for it, and I hated them, and I hated having to say I didn't know. I was so frustrated, and just hated it. And but actually, there's a really, really direct connection between having an interview and keeping this clear mind that just reflects back what's in front of you, and being able to do that in your everyday life, and especially being able to do that when things seem to be getting complicated or rough, because nothing has to be complicated. It's just thinking that makes stuff complicated. And the whole teaching of Zen is that we should understand ourselves and help other people. So the sentence has two parts. And traditional Buddhism will say there are two wings of one bird, or two wheels of one cart. There are two sides of one coin. Actually, they're just the same thing. Like, you just don't have one without the other. Because it just naturally happens that when you become clear, then your life becomes clear, then you can help other people. If you're not clear, you might make a mistake. You might, be trying to help and actually cause suffering. So it's really, really important to become clear, and then, to use this clarity to make our lives clear to help other people. I just want to say one more thing, and I've been talking too long, so I'll stop. But I was listening to the radio the other day. I was listening to an interview with Christina. This daughter of Joan Crawford, the adopted daughter. Anyway, she was an abused child, and she was just sort of mentioning this statistic on the radio about how just since 1975 or something, there have been something like 3 million, I always forget numbers, but like 3 million cases of abused children being reported. And so then you think about the number that aren't reported, and that's really a lot. And then she was saying that of all the people who are in our prisons who've been accused of, or who've been convicted of violent crimes, over 80% of them were abused children. And so you start seeing how, like when Seung Sahn says Zen is world peace, and you start seeing how Seung Sahn says, if you're a parent, just love your kids and take care of them 100%. Just really keep your correct situation, and really do your best, and do what is necessary, And if we all can do that, then, we're adding that much more to world peace, and we're, taking away that much more suffering from other people. So I hope that we can really try to become clear in like all the little tiny ways, and then in all the really big ways, because they're not so different. It's not like you can be dramatically compassionate but then go home and scream at your kids. That's not it. Zen means moment to moment to moment, keeping a clear mind, moment to moment to moment, keeping your correct relationship with other people and with the world. And it helps other people and helps yourself. Really, really gives you, just really gives you a clear mind. Really, this could be a whole nother Dolly Talk, so stop. Seung Sahn will answer questions now, and I hope people will ask him anything that I might have confused you about, or just like anything at all, that you want to know. Thank you.
Mark, we'll make a step next to you, next to Dave here.
I don't know the answer to that question, John.
Okay, everybody have a question?
Can you say something about discipline?
What?
Can you say something about discipline?
Discipline? What do you mean discipline? I asked him, why you answer? I asked you.
What about it? How important is it?
Hmm?
How important is it to be for practice?
How important? What is important?
Necessary.
Now, what is necessary? What is necessary? Don't know. Don't know is number one necessary. You understand don't know?
No.
No. Yeah. Don't know, yeah? You must understand don't know is don't know. Then complete. Don't know is very important. Understand? What does it mean?
No, I do understand. Don't know is important.
Like, don't know is important. So, don't know is important. But don't know is, if you understand don't know is don't know, then understand important. Yeah. Don't know is important, okay? If you want to understand important, you must understand don't know is don't know.
Don't know.
Correct, only go straight. Why don't know very important? Many times I talk this. What is don't know? Okay, what is don't know? Many times. Yeah. Almost when I Dharma speech, I explain this don't know. So we again one more time try. Okay. What is don't know? Why don't know is important? Okay. When you're thinking, your mind, my mind, different. When you cut about thinking, then your mind, my mind, the same. If you keep don't know mind 100%, only don't know, okay, then you don't know mind, my don't know mind, somebody don't know mind, the same don't know mind. Don't know mind already stop thinking. Stop thinking mind, no thinking. No thinking means empty mind. Empty mind is before thinking. Okay. So don't know is before thinking. Before thinking is don't know. But this before thinking, your before thinking is your substance. My before thinking is my substance. Then this takes substance, universal substance, everything substance is the same. So when you keep don't know mind 100%, don't know, that time, already you are universe, universe is you. You and everything already become one. Which means never separate. If you thinking, separate. But only keep don't know, never separate. That we say primary point. Primary point. So, don't know is not don't know. Don't know is a primary point. Primary point name is don't know. I had a lecture 2 years ago in Paris, okay? That time, well, many this, Catholic monk came here in my lecture. Then after lecture, the Catholic monk invite us. Then we go to this restaurant. They are give us this drink or some food. Then one Catholic monk, he before went to Korea. Then I come back to Paris. Very like this. He liked Korea. He asked me, Seung Sahn, you talk about this primary point. Then this primary point, God before made the universe, God before made the universe, that is a primary point. Is that primary point? I said, 99% is correct. What do you mean, 99%? Yeah, you say primary point is everything and nothing is substance. So God, before God made everything, okay? Before God made this universe. So this there is a primary point, means there is before separated sky and heaven, hell, or this sky and earth. Before this all separate before. So this God made before God made everything. That's the primary point. I say. That's no. It's only 99%. That's what is 100% primary point. There is no God. I say there is no God. That's the primary point. No God? Yeah, you already heard my speech. That's the primary point. Primary point, don't know. Don't know already cut of all thinking. Cut of all thinking means before thinking. Before thinking is your substance and the universal substance, everything substance is the same. Okay? Become same means become one. Become one means never separate. So that's the primary point. So don't know is not don't know. Don't know is a primary point. Primary point name is don't know. But somebody say this primary point is mind, or Buddha, or God, or nature, or substance, or absolute, or energy, or holy, or consciousness, or everything. But true primary point there is no name, no form, so no God. No name, no form, also no speech, no word. Because before thinking. Yeah. Before thinking. Only when you keep don't know mind 100%, that time, you and everything already become one. Already become one. Okay? So I ask you, now you understand don't know, yeah? Huh? So, this stack, and you, when you keep don't know that time, this stack and you, are they the same or different? You already understand why before you don't understand. I ask you, what is don't know? What is don't know? Is that don't know? So you only understand one, don't understand two. This is not don't know, this is only sound. Don't know is don't know, yeah? Correct. Don't know is don't know. Next. Only that? Don't know is don't know. That's the correct. Okay. You understand very important point. You attain important point, okay? Don't know is clear, yeah? Not clear? So that's the problem. All people's problem is that's you only understand it. You only understand it, not attain. So not attain cannot help you. You must attain don't know. That's very important. Hit through this only understanding. Understanding only cannot help you. Which means how much believe in my true self. How much believe in my true self. Which means how much disappear all my me. Okay. Which means when this feeling coming, how this feeling, how control, how much I control my feeling, my condition, my situation, how much control. If you only 20%, then you can control 20%, but 80% cannot control. If you believe yourself 30%, then 30% you can control your feeling, your condition, your situation. 50% you believe yourself, then half of control. Half control your feeling, your condition, your situation. 80% you must believe yourself 100%. No, believe 80%. Then 80% your feeling control, also your condition, your situation. 99%. That's the wonderful. 99% you can control. Almost control your feeling. Almost control your condition, your situation. But this 1%. 1% cannot control. This 1% sometimes stronger than 99%. One of my students, before he came 2 years ago in my room, Seung Sahn, I want to become monk. Oh, why do you become monk? I want to help other people. So this is for many, many suffering, so I want to become monk. Oh, that's okay. Become monk is okay, but 100% become monk, then no problem. How much you become monk mind? How much strong? 100%, 99%, 80%? How much do you have? Complete 100% become monk. He said, I think 95% become monk. 5% not sure, because my parents that. You must become, get married and something that. So little hindrance. So 95% I become monk. This 5% cannot become monk. I'm not clear 5%. Then you cannot become monk. Maybe tomorrow morning you change your mind. So tomorrow morning again, if you 100% become monk, then you must come. Thank you very much. Thank you. Left. Then next morning he came. Seung Sahn, I cannot become monk. 35% is stronger than 95%. Yeah, that's the problem. So 100% very important. 100%. Same as that, see, here is, dynamite. Dynamite, fire line, okay? Fire line. So all fire. Fire. Over there, stop. This is 99% fire. So 1% stop. It cannot explode, okay? 100% fire, then explode. It's the same. 100% explode means your I mind explode. Explode. Then have no I mind me. Then no problem. That we say complete. What is complete meaning? 100%, that's complete. 99% not complete. This is the American mind, okay? Go to store. $1.99. $2.99. So, because they store man, the salesman, understand American mind, 99%. Oh, $2.99 better than $3. Only 1 cent. Feeling very good. $2.99, that's good. I buy that. $3 is expensive. So 100% very important. So hit through no problem. You must believe yourself 100%. Okay. Only hit that's a monkey. Okay. So more practice necessary. Don't know. 100%. Don't know. Very important. Okay. Everybody is dependent on something, you know. Also, one of my students, he can, I around, find a good teacher. But I cannot find a teacher. So I say to him, if you want to find a good teacher, even Buddha up here cannot teach you. You must find your teacher in your mind. First, understand your true self. Very important. If you want to understand your true self, put it all down, I, my, me. Then, I want a good teacher means, or have I want good teacher. I, begin I. If I disciple, want disciple, then you are complete. Very easy. Someone, Korean suk means what suk means? You're burning, somebody sickness, they burning grass.
Masturbation.
Masturbation? Yeah. Somebody wants masturbation. The doctor said masturbation. If you pass 3 years of masturbation, it is grass, okay? Grass. Masturbation.
Maybe Becky should explain what it is.
I think he's talking just like acupuncture, but fire.
Yeah, acupuncture point to fire, fire.
Yeah.
Max?
Masturbation. Matza.
Maxa.
Just mustard.
That's maxa?
Just mustard.
Yeah, this is grass, that dry grass. This is if you pass 3 years this medicine grass, then that's very wonderful grass. So, he won't find this Max Passer 3 years ago, this Max Passer, okay? 3 years ago. He keep past 3 years ago, Max Passer. He want to find, around. Every year find 6 years pass 6 years. But still cannot find 3 years past next person. You understand this meaning? Sundarana.